doesn't pick up. You have to be in first. See, you heal that bog. I hit it. We'll see in the video. I'll rewind it. I tried to shift even before 6. There she goes. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Novichenko Whips YouTube channel. I wanted to do another drive review video of my E70 X5M, kind of I guess winter review, if you want to call it that. The car is completely stock tune wise, but we have installed some drop-in like filters, if you want to call them that. And so honestly, over the stock filters that it had before, it's not a huge difference in terms of power feel. I'm pretty sure it's just the tune. You know, the car is, I don't think it's pushed really hard from factory, and that would most likely be my reasoning for the way how it feels. But honestly, for a stock car, it feels really good, plenty of power, but it doesn't feel like a V8. And that's kind of, I think it was a miss on BMW's part. It is a V8 under the hood, but the way that the exhaust is set up, there's no X-pipe or intersection between the two turbos that come off of the engine. And so it almost sounds like 2 4-cylinders out the back. And I have an X-pipe laying in the garage. It's been too cold to get under the car and, you know, take out a section and put in the X-pipe to see how it changes the sound on the factory exhaust. You might hear right now that the car is very quiet. Even in the M mode, you get like a couple decibels more because the flaps open on the exhaust, you know, the 2 inner flaps or whichever ones. But it's not a humongous difference. We'll probably get on it a little bit here. I don't know if you can hear that. It's a faint, you know, sound of exhaust, but it's not dramatic. Definitely not enough to be exhilarating and be considered like a fun M car experience, which we're all going to fix, of course, as time progresses in our future videos. But I want to enjoy the car and rip it around a bit as it is currently in its stock form, because that gives a great baseline or basis to know what the car will feel like once we tune it. You don't see it on the video, but I do have a nice head-up display in this M mode. The head-up display shows a nice sweep for the RPM band. I'll comment that sweep, I don't know if it's just I haven't trained my brain around shifting in manual mode. I wait till it gets to the orange, which should correlate to the orange on the tachometer, let's say 6.5K. But I've noticed by the time it hits that orange or yellow, yellow. By the time it hits the yellow, it's like too late and you shift, and the car sometimes cuts power because it's at red line. So when you look at here, it's almost easier to gauge your shifts around 6K or right after 6K on the tachometer instead of trying to gauge it off the head-up display. The shifts are fast, I'll say that, but they're not instant. They are very fast for an automatic, and like BMW does a great job of that. But I still feel like you have, or the car has a tendency to bog if you miss a shift because of red line. It probably is done for the safety of the vehicle in that case. But overall, there's some sound. With the transmission down here in the regular drive mode, it changes the driving characteristics a little bit. I think it holds the RPMs slightly higher, but you really have to be, here's a sport mode. It downshifts about a gear or two depending on what speed you're at. There we go. Yeah. We're pretty warmed up. The car's been warming up for a while before I started filming. I know people can comment about that sometimes. But let's see. So we're in second. Honestly, if I floor it from second here, it doesn't feel as dramatic. Like, it doesn't pick up. You have to be in first. See, you heal that bog. I hit it. We'll see in the video. I'll rewind it. I tried to shift even before 6, and maybe because the revs climb so quickly, by the time I hit the shift button, it's already redlined, and it kind of does this bog. I mean, I get it. The car hides a lot of the acceleration, and so you think, oh, we're just getting going, and first gear is done, so to speak. So I would say it's almost, it's not a gimmick. Like, maybe use the paddle shifters on some fun sweeper roads when you're taking the twisties and you want to be in a desired gear. But honestly, if you want the best acceleration and the best shift points, you probably just want the trans in the sport mode. It'll take it as far as it can go. It'll time the shifts quick enough and all that stuff. I've been in certain cars where it's more fun to do the shifts yourselves, and I think some newer cars do a good job of that because they give you more control. You feel like you're in more control. But at least in this car, it's in first or second gear, it's easy to kind of bog, especially if you're trying to hit the best acceleration possible. Rely on the automatic transmission itself. But yeah, here, let me show you. So you see the number 6 on the cluster. The shifts are pretty quick. It's nothing to complain about. It even does a little like brap, factory brap if you want to call it, or a little overrun when you upshift towards redline, and then or if you get it towards redline, you let off. It has a little bit of a cool overrun effect. I'm sure when I get the exhaust done, it'll be more dramatic. I'm trying to find another clean spot on the road to get on it. Overall, for the age of the car, what it is, 2012, I forget, it's pretty fast. I think this was one of the fastest factory SUVs when it came out, which is cool. But by today's standards, I've been in, the new Aviator that has the 3-liter EcoBoost with a twin turbo. And that thing felt, I wouldn't say faster, but with the 10 speed in it, the acceleration felt better because you've got the acceleration, of several gears more instead of a 6-speed. So I think in newer cars, they really, even if they're not improving crazy on horsepower or doing crazier higher horsepower, they have the advantage of those transmissions. Second. I might, also now have a tendency to shift early because I'm afraid of hitting redline. And that's kind of a thing that's been annoying me because I want to wind it out. I want to, get everything out of it, but it seems to me like I'll get it wrong. Here, if we put it in drive and then put it back in sport, now it's going to be fully controlling all its shifts, and I'll show you again. Like, get in first, let's go. And she really pulls well after 5K. Like, I can feel like this new wave after 5K, so you want to be in those higher gears. Someone's gonna laugh because I have constantly my oil level monitor on. I think that's the worldwide notion for BMW drivers, and this car does a good job of showing you your oil level while you drive. Other Beamers won't show it to you unless you're like parked or in neutral or standing still. So BMW should bring that back. I kind of it soothes drivers. Then they're like, yeah, I'm still at the max, doing pulls here and there. And the downshifts are good. So I'm still in that sport transmission M mode. The downshifts are good. Everything is super smooth. And then you can override it. Once you override it in sport mode, it stays in manual mode. It doesn't shift back unless you blip this stick back to drive and back to normal. Yeah. What I'll probably aim to do, we'll have to record this. We'll see if I can shift around the 5K mark or 5.5-ish, just to make sure I don't bog it anymore. Got to experiment with it, right? Got to play around with this, see how it does. Hopefully I can get some free space. But yeah, overall, like, either the first gear is just really short. Let's watch it again. I'll try to shift right away. Yeah, this time, yeah, it's plenty fast. Because there's so little exhaust sound, the car is very composed. It's heavy. And so the suspension I know is good. It's sporty, it's stiff. Like, I don't feel much of the drama of the acceleration. I want more drama because I want to feel the M, you know, the M-ness of it all. For example, we can try acceleration in like the non-M mode. It's just a lot quieter. It's still plenty fast, and it picks up almost the same. It almost seems like the throttle response is very, very similar. I don't know how to explain that. Maybe if you have an E70, let me know if you've researched this, whether the throttle response is mostly impacted by setting the transmission into sport or manual mode or drive, or is the throttle mode mostly dependent on whether you're clicking the M mode or not. Because I know I have everything in the M mode set to sport and power and max everything. So educate me, please, if you can. We're gonna do another little pull on the on-ramp. See what we can do there. Steering is nice and firm. All right, looks like we have a clear way onto the freeway, and there is a police officer getting on in front of us. This is awesome. What do? Floor it? Officer? I wasn't driving fast. I was just flying low. I like all the cops around here. They're pretty chill. Well, we'll get acceleration at another point. Cruising wise, the 6-speed does plenty. So we're cruising 60 here on the freeway. It's under 2K. Cruise control works awesome. The car feels very sporty on the road. Like the heavy steering and the heavy steering and the heavy set feeling of it on the road really gives, you know, that great confidence. It almost feels like the rear wheels with the wider tire, they have like a wider wheelbase than the fronts. It gives you that staggered look, staggered feel. Yeah. The interior is classic. The leather quality, awesome. Like the dash is leather, everything is leather, everything to the touch. I definitely recommend this car as a bargain. Like, let's say you wanted a bargain M car, this is definitely a way to go. And if you want a family car and you want your, like, you know, significant other, your wife, to drive it, I think BMW was definitely going for upping the X5, because this is the first X5M, so to speak. They didn't have an X5M before this, so they were probably figuring things out. I'm sure that the next generation of this car, where they had the 8-speed, it had more of the M modes, it was a little bit more dramatic, probably from factory, but tuned. I've heard that these cars do perfectly well in comparison to the next gen, because it's the same engine essentially. There are technical updates on the S63 TU, but in general, same engine. I think this X5 is heavier though than the newer generations. But again, everyone praises the build quality of the E70. I've seen plethora of videos where the new X5, it was just looking like they were cutting back on material costs, on material quality. You know, maybe still trying to emphasize that performance and stuff, but there were a lot of setbacks and cutbacks. But I love the looks of the newer one. I love the looks of this one. I love the looks of the newer one. I'm very, I think, overall happy with the designs of any, and I'd be happy with the new one. Who knows, maybe we'll see one of those on the channel in the future. Time will tell. I guess let's see how daily lumber transport friendly is our X5M. Went and got some 6-foot boards at Home Depot. So let's see if I can put down the seats and fit it in there. Piece of cake. Fits fine. Oh, okay. It's not coming down. You probably need to slam this tailgate. There you go. It's a pickup truck. Let's go home. Let's make our short trip from the local Home Depot back home. Working on a little New Year's project at the house. I've seen people online talking about like utility usability, because they don't call this car SUV. They call it like the SAV, Sports Activity Vehicle. Because utility, right? That would infer that you need to be able to like tow stuff and go off-roading. Where I've seen people try to go off-roading on the X5s, X5Ms, and it's not the greatest. And I think it's a lot to do with the axles. They struggle. The X-Drive system is great for traction, I think, in a sporty manner. And I've seen these in the snow do really good. You know, I watch off-road videos with people who have tested these and they do great. But it's definitely not like I don't think it's a crazy tow vehicle. Or it's not big for like heavy-duty towing and etc. I've seen people slap hitches and hitch mounts on these. They sell them, where you can carefully trim out the bumper and then mount to the frame of the SUV a tow setup. And so people have done it. It's just, it wasn't really built for that. It was built for the sportiness, so to speak. Just had a little WRX try to pass me. Sucker. Just kidding. trying to be a quick one. Let's see if we can give him a taste of the X5 glory. And we're at a yellow light. Nah, they're not behind us anymore. They're going to be pulling up to the right. I guess it's fun to drive kind of a sleeper SUV because you can rip around people. And the car is a little bit unassuming, especially in stock form. It doesn't look like much, but it's got the beans. What was I saying? Am I going to slap a hitch on it? No. I think that's what the truck is used for. With the truck. There he goes. There he goes. Go for it, buddy. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the FA engines on the Subis. I'm a EJ guy for sure. Nice smooth acceleration here. The engine has some sound. It makes some sound, but it sounds nothing like my M5. For some reason, it's the same engine, but the exhaust sounds nothing like the M5. Sure, under the hood, the sounds are the same with the direct injectors and stuff, but yeah, this thing needs to come alive to be like, I think, fully enjoyed. So, very excited to do that. Overall, the only other maintenance thing I think I need to do is just change the oil soon. I'm going to source downpipes. VRSF, good brand. There's a couple other good brands in there. I don't want to go cheap because then fitment becomes an issue, and fitment down along the sides of the engine the behind the engine along the sides of the transmission is already tight. So you want to get as good of a fit as you can. I think I hear my little whistle again. I just fixed that in the last video and it was fine. Should you own a BMW? Well, yes. But you fix one thing, it sounds fine, and then you go and then you go for another drive and it starts whistling again under the hood. I'm gonna take another look at like the PCVs and stuff. Gotta love it. It's a BMW. I know everybody makes fun of this S63 engine for this very reason. But again, cool car to own. German power. Das is good, yeah. We're gonna get off the freeway and maybe I'll be able to give you guys another rip. I was gonna give a quick point on fuel economy. It's not great. Here, let's take a look. 10.8 mpgs, baby. That's like mostly city driving and probably hooning around. So here I'm cruising on the freeway, it's telling me 16.2. And that's probably like in the best case scenario, right? It's possible, again, that a tune will improve the MPGs on this car. I've seen that several times, and I see that to be true with like tunes that I do for people on Subarus. You can definitely improve the MPGs. So again, it's a big heavy car, it's a V8, it's tall-ish, has a tall windshield, so you got to expect that gas guzzler effect to be there. See if we can get some fun acceleration on the twisties. Vroom. Yeah, you mostly get like engine noise because the exhaust is so quiet. The brakes feel great. The steering feels great. You know, driving a car, it's not just about the acceleration. It's kind of the whole experience. I think the steering could be a little tighter in terms of ratio. It has a little bit of that brr, brr, brr when you let off. I'm just laughing right now why that whistle is back. It's someone is going to be watching these videos thinking, should I buy this car? And then they're going to be like, oh look, this guy easily fixed this PCV issue. Next video, the PCV issue is back, but buy this car, it's awesome. Honestly, it's a small air leak. It could be the intake or inlet boot also sucking in some air. Sometimes you just need to avoid those sounds and gun it. Love it. Acceleration is good. Like once it gets going after 4 or 5, mostly 5K, this thing pulls good. But I think with a tune, you can get that low end torque. That's what's going to really wake it up. That's what I have on the M5, the low end torque and the punch, and then of course the follow through to redline is what definitely feels good on that car as well. All right. I'm gonna get on the open road to go home. Punch it. Yeah, when you're in automatic, it winds it out more. It seems like almost in the manual modes, the redline characteristics change. Like the ECU starts to kill your power. My truck does this, and it really annoys me because I want to wind it out. And I know that in auto mode, the truck winds out the transmission shifts later, and the power is not lost. But for some reason, when you go into like manual shifting, they almost build in some kind of like safety gimmick thing where they think they're gonna help you save your car. It's like, no, I want to rip it. I want to go. It's like, hey, it's 37 outside. Be careful. Thank you, BMW. The weight transfer is really good. Like on the turns and stuff. Let's see if I can zoom out for you. It's getting dark outside, but with the stiffer EDC, electronic damp control, I have like no fear of body roll. Like I could gun it mid-turn. It just sets nicely. The rear hunkers down. That's what makes a BMW a BMW. The engine sounds nice. Like the revving, the kind of resonance from it sounds great at high RPMs. I just want more exhaust, more oomph. I live in the Northwest, and people come visit us from other states, and they say people here drive kind of slow. And I agree with that, but they say that they moved to other states and people drive a lot more quickly there, but they're also more aggressive. Like, they will breathe down your neck and tailgate you, which is not fun. And so they come back here to visit, and they're like, you know, it's actually kind of nice that people drive slow, so you're not, you know, someone's not breathing down your neck constantly. And I'm like, huh, I don't know. I have noticed that. I've been to a couple states in the past couple of years, and yes, people do drive differently. I've gone to California. It was like rush hour traffic, but people are going like 90 on I-5 in the morning. And it's like, I guess it's trafficy. It's a lot of cars, but people are just trying to get there quick. And so they are driving briskly. I wanted to show you, after usually a nice spirited drive, you'll park and the fans will turn on for a good, I don't know, 10 plus minutes sometimes. Here's the kind of heat wrap tape that I used before. It's important to zip tie it on because the adhesive comes off. Like, the reflective tape still works, but the adhesive is known to pop off. So comment there, an update from the previous video, so to speak. Let's see, make sure all of my connections are still good in here. So yeah, the PCV boots, you have to buy them, this whole piece with the boot. I might as well go and do it. And just when I'm gonna tear into this car, a lot of this stuff is gonna come out, so I might as well buy the Beamer legit boots and do that in that time. What I noticed last time is that, at least on one of this side, the boot isn't fully seated, so you see it has some vibration, some movement, and to me that could constitute, like, you know, getting that intake whistle type sound. Also, the intake, these two pieces come apart with screws right here, and it's not exactly a perfect fit. Like, you can align it pretty well, but I remember underneath there was a small section where it could be producing, you know, a whistle with the air rushing through. So I'll have to run the codes, see if anything's come up since the last time, which has been over a month. See if it's still reporting under boost and things like that. Let's see how our coolant is doing for the turbo coolers. Looks fine. I'm not going to open the one for the engine, of course. It's a big no-no. Cool. Yeah, she'll cool herself and they'll shut off here in a bit. There's the wifey on the Raptor. She's tried to race me twice now. So she does the kick down and I catch up to her. Still super fun. Let's see if she goes for it again. Oh, Civic in the middle. Woohoo! There she goes. All right, wifey says she wants a rematch. We're just gonna wait till she lines up here. She's probably gonna gun it any second. Start passing her, but the truck does good. It picks up really good. I've actually never seen, I maybe have seen my truck once from the side. It looks pretty sweet, and I can tell the suspension is still. Wanted to give a update on real world MPGs in the E70 X5M. So mix of highway and city driving. Guess where I'm going? To the gas station. Also, something that kind of makes you feel the slightly bad MPGs is the 20-gallon fuel tank. I think it's right at 20 gallons. For example, the truck has a huge 36-gallon fuel tank, and so you're filling up a lot less often. Whereas this thing, she's guzzling and you're fueling up at least once a week. So that's pretty felt impact that you're visiting this place. Ooh, check out this thing. I like. I think that's the SUV the wifey wants. And quite frankly, that I wouldn't mind having either. Love the G-Wagons. Yeah, I think overall, dailying the E70 X5M, I like everything about it in terms of being a dailyable, comfortable car. So it's not super soft as an SUV. I do find myself driving it more in the M mode because it has a little more pep. The M mode doesn't change the shift characteristics of the transmission, more probably just the throttle response and the exhaust flaps. My only downside is this 6-speed ZF is good, like no hiccups, no missed shifts, no hard shifts. But when you drive it like in manual mode with the paddles, if you're gunning it and you missed a shift on the plus sign, falls on its face, you would think like, hey, you shift pretty quick when I get it right before 6.5K RPM. But as soon as you miss that, it falls on its face and there's a delay to shift and the experience just goes out the window. So if you need to ensure that you'll get the next gear, just put it in sport mode and floor it, and the auto trans will take care of you. I don't even know why they bothered to do paddle shifts without dialing in that kind of characteristic of it. I get it, it's sporty and it does listen to you on the shifts. I know older cars, the paddle shifts were more of a mere suggestion on a lot of cars. But here, yeah, it's pretty dailyable. The MPG wise definitely would merit more freeway and highway cruising than city stop and go. And just in general, any heavier car in stop and go, it feels kind of sluggish to stop, sluggish to go. But the brakes are phenomenal. I'm excited to modify it, right? I want the performance out of this car. It is a performance SUV. I know the newer models had an 8-speed ZF, and people like those more because there's more gears, more acceleration. But honestly, no complaints. We drove it to Canada with my wife, several hours on the highway, completely comfortable, great sound system, steering feel, nice and firm. It's not numb on dead center, and so it feels nice. There's a tiny bit of engine noise, but that's those direct injectors, nothing to complain about. But I do want more oomph, and that's what we're going for soon.